Hi, I'm Richard from Desk to Glory, and this is my 1990 Toyota pickup. In 2013, my wife Ashley and I drove our truck, Little Red, from Vancouver, BC down to Argentina. And back then, it was a much simpler build. We had a basic Old Man Emu suspension, we had a little CVT rooftop tent on a canopy, and an ARB fridge, and that was pretty much it. We took what we had, filled some Rubbermaid containers full of camping gear, and just left. But over those 18 months, we came up with all sorts of ideas and all sorts of wants and needs for the next iteration of the build. And this is what we've come up with. Starting up front, we originally just had the stock bumper on the truck and a couple of Hella fog lights on it, and that was it. But after a couple close calls with cattle on the side of the road and drivers in La Paz, Bolivia, we thought that adding a little safety up front would be key. So we used a basic ARB bumper and added some LP9 sport lights from Baja Designs up front. Both of these I feel are safety items, not only for the protection of the truck with the bumper, like the radiator shroud, and so on, but with the lights, more often than not, most dangerous things occur at night. You can't see, cattle are coming to the road because it's warm, maybe people are just lining the streets, but no matter where we are, it seems to be dark, no street lights, and hard to see. So the more light we can come up with, the better. It's definitely a safety item and makes me feel a lot more secure on the road. And of course, since we have a winch bumper now, we added a Warn M8000S winch, so that the S is with synthetic rope. We don't use it very often, but it's really, really nice to have when we do. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts, the suspension. I did a torsion bar delete on this truck because I was just tired of the wagon-like ride off-road, and installed a Total Chaos plus 3¼ inch long travel kit. I also used a couple of Icon shocks on each corner up front. I used a 2½ inch emulsion coilover. So essentially it's just a coil carrier up front with a 500 pound per inch iBox spring. But really the shock that controls most of the damping is a secondary shock. And I used an Icon 2.5, but this one has a piggyback reservoir and a CDC valve. So that means we can control the compression damping. There are 10 clicks. Usually off-road we're full soft or just on one, and then when we hit the road, especially here in Mexico with the twisty narrow roads, I'll put it up to 4 or 5, and it really helps the truck stay settled and sway a little bit less on the corners. For tire size, I went with a 285/75 R16. We found that through our trip through Latin America, they're very easy to find everywhere we went. Plus, it fits in the spare tire location. So that means I don't have to put a tire on a spare tire carrier out back or on the roof or anything. It's always there, easy to access if we ever need it. And it kind of makes sense. It doesn't take up bed space, and we don't have to add the extra weight or complication of a swing out, because I hate swing out tire carriers. They always tend to fail. So by keeping a tire size at 33, it fits underneath and alleviates problems in the future. Yeah, and this tire in particular is a Toyo Tire Open Country AT3. Yeah, we've had these specific ones on the truck for about a year, and therefore through each season. They've been really, really good off-road here in Baja, but also back at home in the Rocky Mountains. They tend to do quite well in the snow. And considering I really don't like to do seasonal tire changes, this all-terrain does everything we need for every season really, really well. Really happy with these. For the rear suspension, I did something very similar to what I did on an 88 4Runner about 18 years ago. Yeah, I used a Skies Off-Road Design spring hanger kit to install the Chevy springs. Made the job super easy, welded on without a problem, and effectively matched the wheel travel in the rear that I have in the front. So the truck at this point feels really, really balanced. For shocks, we used 2½ inch Icons with remote reservoirs and again, another CDC valve. So easy to adjust on the fly. And while the truck was in the air, we added a 125 liter fuel tank from Long Range America. This took our range from about 350 to 700 kilometers and means that we don't have to carry jerry cans on the roof. And I think the biggest change we made to the truck was adding this Go Fast camper. There are plenty of options in terms of slide-in campers, but most of them are pretty heavy. This truck still has a 22 RE, so makes 116 horsepower, and keeping the truck as light as possible was key to making it perform on and off road. So when we're looking at campers, full slide-in campers weren't really an option. They're too heavy. So we immediately started looking at wedge campers because inside living space is key when traveling long term. And we came up with the Go Fast camper. It's the least expensive option, it's the lightest option, and as far as I can tell, one of the strongest options. So we can just abuse it over and over again on all these dirt roads and corrugations and have had zero problems. But we've also been able to make it into a little home. So I'll show you that right now. All right, welcome to our little home away from home. This is our 6-foot bed that I've transformed into a little bit of a living space. Something that we definitely didn't have before in the first iteration of this build, but it was super important for us this time around. So we have about a 4-foot long and 2-foot wide walking space with a Mexican blanket / rug. So Goose Gear doesn't make a kit for 3rd gen pickup, but 1st gen Tacoma is very, very close. So I took a 1st gen Tacoma base plate and a couple of drawer modules that were the same height as the bed rails. And to complete this L-shaped bench, Goose Gear made this infill panel with an opening top here that's actually lockable as well. So we have a nice bench seat to sit on, but also plenty of storage. In this one we keep our coffee accoutrement, jet boil, what else we have in here? We have utensils and so on. And in this one, kind of use it as a storage for Ashley's books down here, but also for a pantry that's a little bit in disarray right now. Plenty of hot sauce to choose from. This upper one is a combination of our stove. We have a Goose Gear cutting board right here, and then garbage bags, paper towels, and so on. So kind of like a pantry as well. All right, under here is our utility cabinet. We've got a planar 2D diesel heater that actually runs on kerosene. For our electrical system, we used a couple of Full River battery DC 85-12s. So they're both 85 amp hours each. And then those are charged through a Red Arc BC DC 1225D and a whole bunch of Blue Sea and Victron components to actually complete the entire system. You may have noticed that I made a modification to the V1 camper from Go Fast Campers, and that was adding this little 1x6 piece of wood cut to the right length, so that instead of having the 2 panels that normally go here, we have a long enough bed space, yet an opening at the end to get in and out at night and so on. Also for heat to come up when it's cold and we have the heater on. So for us, we're pretty short. I'm 5'8" or 9, Ashley's 5'3", and we fit it here, no problem at all. Plus, with just one panel, it makes it very easy just to move out of the way. So this is a big upgrade, a sink and running water. We've got a SureFlow tap connected to a SureFlow pump, which is connected to a Scepter 20-liter water tank. We have the gray water plumbed outside, and we just collect it with a bottle or collapsible bucket and dispose of it however we need to. Ashley and I each have a duffel bag for our clothes, and then we've got a couple day packs and so on that are normally here, as well as a nice little cushion that I found on Amazon that was just for an outdoor bench seat. But I just pulled those out for clarity so you could actually see what was going on. Under the sink, we've got a 5-pound propane tank for our stove and a 600-watt inverter just for charging laptops and camera batteries and so on. This little garbage bin right there. And then on the back side of the cabinet, we've got a switch for a water pump. We've got our heater control. We've got a Blue Sea below deck panel, shows our voltage at the moment, and we've got some USB ports for charging. These two switches are currently blank, but are there for future use. And then, because we don't have access to the sink when the top is down, I added this front runner tap so that we can fill up water bottles and so on the road. All right, here's the interior of our truck. Very first thing you notice are these Corbeau Baja RS seats. Significantly more comfortable than the bench seat that was in here and the 30-year-old 4Runner seats that came right after that bench seat. One of my favorite things I added was this Tuffy center console. It's a Series 2, 6.5-inch wide universal console, just bolted to the floor here. And I added their cup holders, but the thing that I did for the cup holders is I just enlarged them so that 1 liter Nalgene would fit in them so we could actually be hydrated. It's pretty great. So normally I'll keep a hard drive of all of our photos so they don't get lost or stolen in here, and paperwork. Nothing super valuable, just things that I don't want to go missing. And in the back, I'm using a alu box here from Equipped Expedition Outfitters. It's secure enough that if somebody wants to break into the truck, that they're still gonna have to work to get into here if we have the locks in it. Other than that, we've got a hold fast steering wheel, makes it feel like a race truck, and AirB air compressor switch, nice and easily accessible for airing up. I also added an Amazon USB port here, so it shows the voltage and got 2 USB ports. This tiny cab doesn't really have a whole bunch of space for storage, so I added an attic from Blue Ridge Overland Gear. Another favorite addition were these Husky Liner floor mats. These are from a 2nd gen Tacoma. I had to do a little bit of trimming on the floor mats so they didn't interfere with the pedals, but overall, been super happy with keeping our carpets clean. Thanks for watching this little summary of our 1990 Toyota pickup we call Little Red. If you have any questions, just ask below or hunt me down on Instagram at Desk to Glory. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.